oaths that I just recited, وَالْفَجْرِ وَلَيَالٍ عَشْرٍ وَالشَّفْعِ وَالْوَتْرِ وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَسْرِ. Four oaths, they all connect back to Hajj, the event of Hajj. These all four oaths. So the first oath, and I will describe how this fifth ayah actually connects beautifully. So first I will talk about the fifth ayah. So there are very few occasions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says how big of an oath Allah has taken right now. Right? These oaths, how grand and how magnificent they are, and why do not you think about these oaths, right? This is one of those occasions when Allah says, "Hal fi dhalika qasamun lidhi hijr." Is there not enough of an oath in this for those who possess intellect? Lidhi hijr, and I will talk about what the hijr means, but it has been translated as those who possess intellect, those who think. Is there not enough of an oath in these four statements, in these four ayat, for those who are able to think and to ponder upon this? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is referring to how grand these oaths are, and why we should definitely think about these. So let's just try to connect quickly these four oaths. So the first oath is wal fajr, by the dawn, by the break of the light. Fajr also means that the light breaks out from the darkness. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes this oath first, obviously, because the hearts of the people are softest when they wake up. When they wake up from the night, this is the time when the hearts of the people are the softest, and it's the best time, as Allah says, to recite the Quran, and it has been witnessed. But then scholars have also referred to this morning as the morning of the 10th of Zulhijjah. That means the morning of tomorrow. This is the morning that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes the oath of, and as we will see how this connects later on. Right? This Fajr is also referred to the coming of the Quran. In many places in the Quran, when Allah talks about the morning, by the morning, it also refers to there was a long period of darkness after Isa alayhi salam, right? When there was no prophet for almost 600 years. When Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam came with the Quran, this Quran came with the light that broke out all the darkness and spread the light in this world, right? So this Fajr also refers to that coming of the Quran, the coming down of Jibreel alayhi salam back again to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, who brought this light to this world. And Quran has been referred to the light in many places in the Quran as well. Then Allah says, by the 10 nights, and one of the strongest opinions is the 10 nights of Dhul Hijjah that we just are crossing now. Right? These are 10 nights of Dhul Hijjah, and this is one of the strongest opinions. So first we got the 10th of Dhul Hijjah, and then the morning, and then we got 10 nights of Dhul Hijjah from 1 to 10. Right? And then Allah says, by the even number and by the odd number. Shaf'a wal Watr, Shaf means even and Watr means odd. So many opinions again, but trying to connect it back to Hajj and one of the strongest opinions, it's in reference to the 2 or 3 days of the Ayyam al-Tashriq, right? When people stay in the in Mina, that's where during Hajj, these are the 2 or 3 days of Mina. Some have also talked about 10th is the even is the 10th, and Watr is the odd, which is the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, which is the day of Arafah, which is today, right? Again, these are so grand of things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes oath by these days in the Quran, right? These are so grand of the days in Ayyam al-Tashriq, as we say, by which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is taking oath now. And then finally, by the night when it passes quickly, right? Yes, by the night when it passes. And so this night is again referred to as the night when people stay in Muzdalifah, right? And then it passes quickly, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is referring to this night as. And so this is one of the opinions. So we got the night of Muzdalifah, and then we got the days of Mina, and then before that again we covered the whole Dhul Hijjah, 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. And now coming to the ayah, Allah says, هَلْ فِي ذَلِكَ قَسَمٌ لِذِي حِجْرٍ. Is there in that enough of an oath, a powerful oath for the people of intellect? And the word for the people of intellect is the hijr. What does hijr mean? What does hijr mean? We have referred when you go to Umrah or Hajj, there's a Hajj Aswad, right? The rock that is black, the black rock. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now is connecting to that, to the intellect. It's a beautiful imagery. It's only used in this place in the Quran about your intellect, your ability to think, right? But how does these two connect? The rock or a boulder, a big rock with your intellect, right? So what does boulder do? Boulder blocks our path, right? If you're walking in a path, it blocks your path, you cannot cross forward, right? So, and the intellect actually is something that controls you from harming yourself, right? There is a, let's say there's a fire, and your intellect tells that do not touch it, right? You'll harm yourself by touching that, right? The same way, the boulder is preventing you from crossing a particular path that might lead you to some harm, right? Or there might be emotions that you have to control, otherwise you will end up doing something wrong or something harmful, right? So we hate those who possess solid rock intellect. That's what that imagery refers to. And there's similar imagery used in the Quran in one other place. That's ulil nuha, those who possess the ability to control themselves. Ulil nuha, that is also one of those imageries referring to the same concept, that you have to control your emotions when you start to think about these goals, right? You have to control your emotions, and this is the same image referred when I say so that you can think of by controlling your emotions. Aqal, when we call it intellect, is actually it was referred to the rope that people use to tie their camels with, right? Because they don't have parking system like our cars have. So what do? They used to tie a rope on their head, and when they are about to park or stop somewhere, so they remove that rope and then they tie it around the camel so it doesn't run away, right? So that's what aqal means, right? So again, you put it on your head. So that's what it refers to the ability to think by controlling your emotions, by controlling your emotions from crossing away or crossing limits, and that helps you not end up in harm, right? So what happens if you do not control your emotions? Your emotions might lead you to biases that prevent you from the truth, from understanding the truth, right? So Allah keeps using and it has this imagery explained here. It's just like a solid rock that prevents you from overwhelmed with your emotions, right? What happens, let's say if you are so distressed or so angry, you cannot think properly, right? You cannot even focus in your prayer, right? Let's say if you fight with somebody outside and then you come inside and pray, you will not be able to focus on the prayer. It happens to us. If that happens to our mind. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is referring to you have the ability to control your emotions when you start thinking and pondering on and reflecting on the ayat of the Quran. And this is one of those occasions when Allah says enormous restraint which prevents you from harming yourself. So you stop yourself, and that boulder or that intellect prevents you from going forward in something wrong or emotional which might be harmful to you. So this was a beautiful connection. And then when that soul goes to the Hajj, it comes back, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala beautifully connects it to returning back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the end of this surah. What does he say? He says, Ya ayyatuha an-nafs al-mutma'inna irji'i ila rabbiki radiyatan mardiyah. Right? Oh beautiful soul that has been pleased, right? It is such a loving way. Ya ayyatuha an-nafs al-mutma'inna. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows intimate love with that soul which has always wanted to connect itself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, always wanted to return back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we learned that when a soul comes back from the Hajj, it is her Hajj Mabrur, it is as if it was like a newborn, right? With no sins at all. And so Allah says, now that there is no sins on you, return back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as you are completely pleased with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So enter into my slaves and enter in the Jannah. So This is the grandeur of these days that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes the oath with, and Allah wants us to think about these ayat, and actually Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is also in a way criticizing the Quraysh, right? They did not take these oaths and this event of Hajj with sanctity, and they broke the sanctity of Hajj. And so that's why if you continue reading this surah, Allah talks about other nations who did the same, who did not control their desires, and they ended up on the wrong side, right? They were destroyed. The people of Ad, Samud, and Fir'aun, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about those nations because they were not able to control their desires. They did not use their solid rock intellect to think about these events and these days, and so they ended up on the wrong side. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to realize the sanctity of these days and to make dua on these days, and the best statement that we can say, as we learned from the hadith, La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah, lahul mulku wa lahul hamdu wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir. And so make lots of du'as on these days. It doesn't have to be in Arabic. Make dua in your own language on this day, and reserve and special du'as, and make as much dua as you can on this day. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all of our prayers and all of our deeds. Fasting is one of those recommended acts on this day that wipes away the sins of previous year and the following year. So inshallah, let's realize the sanctity of this day and lots of dua. Jazakumullah khairan. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta.
جزاك الله خير، فتح الله عليك.